Hi there, everybody. Good evening to you wherever you are. I'm Nate Eaton with EastIdahoNews.com, coming to you from our studio in Idaho Falls. It is October 22nd, 2025. Welcome to Courtroom Insider. So glad you're here. Would love to know where you are at tonight. You can put it in the comments below and let us know if you have any questions. Tonight is going to be different. Our program is going to be different, but I think it's equally as important as any other topic we've covered. And I want you to picture in your mind, before we get to our guests, that you are doing your job, whatever you do, whether you're a teacher or a banker or a grocery store clerk or a Uber driver or you work at a restaurant or you are working in a hospital, whatever you do, think in your mind, or you stay at home with your kids. Imagine tonight, in an hour or two, you're going about your business, going about your job, and suddenly you see something or have an experience with something you have never seen or dealt with before, like a ghost or a Bigfoot, a Sasquatch, or an object that you see, or a voice, something like that. Now, I know already half of you have been like, Nate, what are you talking about? Because I've kind of been in your belief. I share your belief. I have before. I'm a journalist. I'm taught to be skeptical of everything. In our newsroom, when I first was starting in news, our news director would always say, if your mother says she loves you, check it out, get it confirmed, doubt everything. And that's something that as a reporter, no matter what I hear, no matter what anybody tells me in the back of my mind, I'm always thinking about the, okay, well, what if this, or what if that, or what about this, what about that? So I get it. But there are people who swear on their lives that they've had these encounters, that they have seen UFOs, that Bigfoot is real, that ghosts have visited them or live in their homes or have haunted them. And they, you know, often are laughed at or made fun of. No one believes them, whatever. In many cases, many people do believe them. And so tonight, it's kind of Halloween season. I've been to haunted houses and you know, been through things like that. They scare me. I'm not a big fan of haunted houses. But it's putting that aside, I wanted to talk with a man and a woman, two former cops in Arizona who have actually started an organization to help first responders who have had encounters with paranormal things, UFOs, Bigfoots, ghosts, whatever. I met one of them a few months ago, Marianne Robb. She testified at Lori Ballow's trial in Arizona. You may remember I went to her house and interviewed her after the trial was over. We talked about her responding to when the day that Brandon Boudreaux was shot, and we talked a little bit about her organization that she started for these paranormal activities. After I interviewed her, an officer in Utah, his wife saw the interview. The officer reached out to her and said, I want to be sure you're legitimate, that you really are who you say you are. She went and visited him, and he shared with her an experience he had with a paranormal experience. And there are officers all over, and paramedics and firefighters and nurses and doctors that deal with these type of things. But the problem is, if you have that experience and you go and tell your colleagues, what's the response going to be? Who do you go to for help? I know if I had that experience, and I'm going to say up front, I've never had a paranormal experience. I've seen things in the sky. I've seen shooting stars. I've seen movement in the skies. I've watched documentaries about UFOs. I've thought about it. I don't doubt it. I don't doubt at all that those things are there. I've just never had those type of experiences. But other people have. I've talked to them. They've called me asking me to do their stories. And they have sworn that things have happened. Um, and I don't know if I were to have a type of experience, what I would tell my coworkers and whether they'd believe me. I know some of my colleagues would say, you're full of crap. Others would say, okay. Others would say, okay, I believe you. But if it really got in my psyche, if it really got in my mind, how would I cope? I don't know. That's exactly what Dave and Marianne are dealing with, are that's their mission. That's what they're up to. So what they have started is the UAPPD police department. They're both retired cops. UAP stands for unidentified aerial phenomenon or unidentified and anomalous unidentified phenomenons. I cannot say that word. And they're saying that they're former police departments. Um, I'm on their website now. You can check it out. We talk about that in our interview here, where law UAPPD, where law enforcement meets the unknown, helping first responders negotiate the stigmas of unexplained phenomenon investigations. And we have Marianne Robb and Dave Rich. Combined, they have nearly 60 years of law enforcement experience. They run this. Marianne's part of the Mutual UFO Network, MUFON, Mutual FON, UFO Network, the Arizona chapter. She spent 7 years as a field investigator, 5 years as an instructor dealing with UFO cases. This has been big lately in America with the whole investigation into UFOs and is on the federal level. News Nation, Brian Enton has done a lot of good reporting on that. So I know some of you, as I said, might doubt this, but give it a listen. Give it a listen. I'd love to know your thoughts on the topic. If you have any questions, and at the end, we'll talk about a way that you can get in touch with Marianne and Dave. So, Marianne and David, I want to kind of start from the beginning and have you guys tell me a little bit about your organization, why you decided to create it, and how the both of you met.
Okay, well, wow. How we both met. Well, we met like 25 years ago
Okay.
when we were both working at Gilbert Police. Marianne had already been there for a number of years, and then I got hired on as an officer, and we were both assigned to the same squad. So I've known her for like 25 years. But our organization, do you want to explain the organization?
I'll start that. Again, I've been with Gilbert PD, it was 34 years. Um, why, while we were officers together, we also were in a program called MUFON, the Mutual UFO Network. They are international wide. We were field investigators with MUFON, and we went to a meeting one time, and they had a speaker that was talking about the military and talking about disclosure that's supposedly coming, which my feeling it's never going to happen. However, we were talking about that, and I'm thinking, okay, the pilots are starting to talk, the military's starting to talk. Why aren't law enforcement and first responders talking? So I was talking to a friend of mine, and he said, you know what? They're not talking because of the stigma. He goes, you need to start looking into maybe starting an organization that helps law enforcement and first responders with something, something they might see that they don't talk about because of the stigma. And also that these officers are like, I should know what I'm looking at. When I go into a scene, I should know exactly how to handle that scene. Well, they see a Bigfoot, they see a paranormal experience, a ghost, or they see a light in the sky. They have absolutely no idea what they're looking at, and they're not going to talk about it because that's voodoo. So I got a hold of Dave, and I called him. I said, "Hey," I said, "I just went to this meeting, was talking to a friend of mine, and we were talking about disclosure." And I said, why don't law enforcement and first responders talk about these things? And he goes, I'll tell you exactly why. And at this point, I'm going to let him tell you exactly why law enforcement don't talk.
So I remember getting that call from Marianne, and I was like, well, I'll tell you exactly why police officers aren't talking. And it's because of what happened to me in 2017. So in 2017, I was working as a school resource officer at one of our high schools, and we had a 911 call that came in from the front desk that happened on a Saturday in the middle of the day where there's nobody at the school. long story short is I get told by a supervisor, you're going to investigate this because we wanted to make sure basically that the 911 system wasn't compromised. So I do a complete investigation, everything from pulling security footage from the front desk of the school that had the phone in question almost dead center of the screen. I pull the 911 tape from 911 to have the recording of the voice, and I do a complete investigation. And when I check the security footage, there is nobody at that phone when that call comes in from 911. So that launches me into a whole investigation. I ran down every possible lead because at this point in my life, I like to joke around. April 8th of 2017, I was a complete and total skeptic. By April 12th, all of a sudden I was a little bit more curious, we'll put it that way. But I ran down everything. We checked, was the phone call routed in from one of the classrooms or from a third party location someplace else? Was it a computer generated voice? I went so far as to get a hold of the phone company and have them actually break open the box and check, did somebody like old school like you see in the movies tap into the phone lines? And we got nothing. I talked to the patrol officers that went out to the case. They found the phone receiver laying on the counter. So we know it was that phone where it came from because it wasn't even on the receiver. The receiver wasn't even on the cradle. It was laying on the desk with an open line to 911.
Okay,
So
so hold on, let me. So
yeah.
the phone, you get to the school, the phone is off the hook.
Uh-huh.
911 had been called from the phone.
Yes.
There's no video, no one's in the video shot. No one was
No one's
walking
in the
in and
video.
out of it. No one there. There's
Nope.
nobody on the line, like what, no voice or anything that when it called
N-
911.
Nope. And the only person that was on the line was the 911 operator was still on the line trying to get a hold of whoever called in.
So,
So
so did the video clip from like being on the receiver and then suddenly it's off? Like, what did the surveillance show that
it's
time?
it's not detailed enough to see the phone come off the cradle, but it's detailed enough to see that from every angle, nobody goes to that phone. And then the first person that approaches the phone is the patrol officer who comes in, and you see him pick it up off the counter and have the conversation with the dispatcher saying, hey, this is my call sign. This has to be the phone. I found it laying on the counter. We're going to search the building and see where this person is. Because at that time, everybody thought somebody called and then they must have just dropped the phone and they took off and they're somewhere in the building.
Mm.
Because at that time, they didn't know that I was going to pull the video and see that there's nobody at that phone. And I took that video. The call came in just before noon, and it was a whispered voice that said, "I'm scared," is what it sounds like. The dispatcher says, "What was that?" And it says it again, says, "I'm scared." Dispatcher says, "You're scared?" And then it says, "No." And then you hear the phone get dropped on the countertop. So I took this phone because this phone call came in right before noon. I took the security footage all the way back to 6 o'clock in the morning. Not only was there nobody at that phone during that phone call, there was nobody at that phone from 6 o'clock in the morning until the patrol officer picked it up 14 minutes after the call came in.
Dave, have
So
you guys posted the audio on your website to that call?
we don't. We have it, but we don't post it because, in my opinion, this is quite possibly the greatest bit of evidence I think I could ever capture. So I have the security footage on my computer at home, and I have the 911 tape. We actually, when we do our stage presentations, we show stills from the security footage because it's such an old program. The only place I can play it is on this old desktop that's in my den at home.
Right.
But we take still shots from it and show the still shots of right before when the phone call came in, and then of the officers walking in and searching. But we play the 911 tape, and the best part is I took that 911 tape and I had it analyzed because I was like, well, this is weird. Like, again, in the process of thinking maybe somebody like generated it with a computer or somehow found a way to get it in there. So I sent it off to get analyzed. While I'm doing all of this stuff with the security footage and I'm going, there's nobody at this phone. The patrol officer I'm talking to, he's like, oh, by the way, when we went into the nurse's office, something pushed us and ran out of the room, but we couldn't see anything. And when you watch the security footage, you see them go into the nurse's office at the bottom of the screen and then run back out. And there's nobody that came out.
And
So
let's
this
just
is
make it clear this was long before AI.
long before AI.
Right.
Long before AI.
Okay,
And
so
again,
you say the day before you're a skeptic,
yes.
meaning you didn't UFOs, paranormal activity, you were just
Even
not, that's not your thing.
no, didn't believe in any of it.
That happens,
Oh,
and now
because
now you believe.
well, you haven't heard the best part yet.
Okay.
So we send the audio off. The audio analysis comes back, and the person who runs the audio through all of their I don't even understand all the computers that they run it through. He looks at me and goes, "Well, I'll tell you this: it's not a computer generated voice. It's also not a human voice." And I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "Oh, and by the way, it doesn't say I'm scared." I was like, "Well, what does it say?" And he amplified it, and it says I scare. So when the dispatcher asks, "You're scared," it says no, and then drops the phone.
Oh
So
my.
I hear that. I hear all this stuff. I do this full investigation, and I'm like, I have no explanation. Like up until that point, I was like, oh, there's a logical explanation. Somehow I'm going to find that it was like a kid playing a prank or something like that. The entire time, I'm like, oh, there's a logical explanation. Until I finally get to there, and I'm like, there's nobody at the phone. It's not a human voice. It's not a computer generated voice. I have no idea what this is. So I go into the nurse's office to talk to the nurse because, again, that's where the two guys go in and they felt something push them. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe there's something to do with the nurse's office. I had been at that school for 6 years. So I go into the nurse's office. She's actually the wife of a sheriff's deputy. So I've talked to her extensively over the 6 years that I've worked at this school. So I walk in. She has a very bubbly personality, very outgoing personality. And so I walk in and we start talking until I bring up this phone call. The moment I bring up the phone call, she shuts right down and is like, I don't know anything about that. And it was such a dynamic change from her personality that the first thing that popped into my mind was, well, this is strange. So I kind of let it go and I come back a couple hours later. Everything's fine again, back to being friendly, outgoing. We're talking about it until I bring up the topic of the phone call. And then she shuts back down again.
Hmm.
So at this point, I'm like, okay, well, she definitely knows something and she doesn't want to tell me.
Right.
So I'm like, let's give it a couple of days and then I'm going to come back and talk to her again. So I give it a couple of days, come back, I walk in, and I again, friendly, outgoing, until I bring up the phone call. And then she's literally holding a pen and she slams the pen down on the desk and looks at me and goes, fine, I'll tell you. And I'm like, tell me what? She then proceeds to tell me that for her entire life, she has been followed by a ghost, at least one that she knows of. She'll move from a house, everything will be fine for like a week or two, and then activity will happen at the house. And we're talking like what you think of about haunted houses. She'll be downstairs, they'll hear doors slamming upstairs when they know nobody's there. It's her, her husband, and her kids. Their dog will just start barking at the corner where there's nothing. Her husband and son have both seen like things run down the hallway when they know that there's nobody there. So that level of haunting. So I look at her and I go, well, why did you not tell me this before when we were talking like 2 days ago, 3 days ago? And she's like, well, because 3 weeks ago, all of the activity at the house stopped. And so she was worried that by talking about it, it would come back.
Hmm.
And so then I asked, well, then why are you talking to me now about it? And she said, well, last night everything started again. So I ended up pulling a premise history on the house or on the, I'm sorry, on the school
Yep.
and ended up finding out that we had three 911 calls come in from the front desk of the school in that 3 week period. The first two, they did not hear any voices. So they dispatched officers, but all they did was look through the window. They didn't see anybody there. This was the first one where they actually heard a voice that they could actually hear somebody talking. So the officers were like, well, we need to make entry because we literally heard a voice. So they made entry. So great ghost story turned me into a believer. But here's the part where UAPPD came around. About a week after I'm done with this investigation, I've got everything written up. I get called upstairs to a detective sergeant's office.
Okay.
I walk into his office. He has a computer monitor set up with the security footage. He has the recording of the 911 tape. Sit down, and he looks at me and he hits play and he watches this, shows it all to me. That's all stuff I saw. I'm the one that seized it all. And then he looks at me and goes, you expect me to believe this? And I was
Hmm.
like thrown. I was like, I don't care what you believe. This is what it is.
Yeah.
So one thing led to another, and he basically told me, "You're not going to talk about this. You're not going to file a report. You're not going to do anything with it. You're going to let this go." So
Hmm.
I walk out of the office all kinds of mad because I still have 6 years left in my career before I could retire at this time. And
Yeah.
I've got this guy telling me, Sergeant, telling me that I need to shut up about this. Since then, I've found out that the two patrol officers that responded were also called upstairs by different command staff members and told that they will not talk about it.
Hmm.
So
Why do you think that is?
mainly because they don't, well, I flip flop because part of it is they don't want us to look like we're crazy because it
Yeah.
would hurt all police officers. Because police officers police officers, it's a career where one guy does something wrong in, like, 5 states over, we all get painted with the same brush. So if one of us sees Bigfoot or sees a UFO or sees a ghost and starts talking about it, then they're going to start saying that we all are seeing that stuff, and it becomes like a hindrance when you start trying to prosecute regular cases. So
Right.
if you have a mundane case like a stolen vehicle or a shoplifting or a burglary, and you're the guy who saw Bigfoot and you're on the stand, all a defense attorney has to do is look at you and say, "Did you see Bigfoot?" You just swore an oath to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. So you have to say yes. And what that defense attorney is banking on is that at least one of the 12 people who are too stupid to figure out how to get out of jury duty is going to also say, "Yeah, that's ridiculous. Bigfoot, well, this guy thinks Bigfoot is real." And then even
Right.
the other 11 people in that jury pool all had lunch with Bigfoot the day before. They're also going to say, "Oh, yeah, this guy's crazy." And
Right.
your credibility is shot. And then as
Right.
a police officer, we talk about this in our presentation. The two things that a police officer has to have to establish a winning case is evidence and the credibility to back up the evidence, to prove that you got it the right way, that you're telling the truth and you're not flying off the handle.
Yeah. So, Marianne, what got you interested in this?
Would you believe just um, talking about disclosure and talking about the military? I have not seen anything. I hunt, I fish. I'm out, being patrol all my 34 years, out there under the big wide open sky. I have never have seen anything. Um, I've always wanted to just see a light in the sky, just something, and I've never seen anything. So when our friend talked about, hey, talk to Dave and see about what law enforcement, why aren't they talking? Well, when Dave shared that story with me about what happened with him, I said, wow, that means there are law enforcement first responders. And when we call law enforcement first responders are fire, ambulance, nurses, anybody that's on that front line, first responders. They've seen things. There's over what 800,000 police officers in just this country alone, and they're working day, night. They're out there under the wide open sky. They're seeing things. So I said, Dave, let's get going. Now, I don't know if it's funny or not, but I'm retired
I
and
didn't find it funny.
I know I am not, I don't have to work, or I'm just strictly retired. Unfortunately, Dave, because he has a young family, he had to go back to work after he retired. So I told Dave, I says, hey, I will reach out to folks. If we have we have an officer or anyone that has a story, say on the other side of the country, and they would rather talk to us in person, not on a Zoom, not on the phone, that I would get on a plane and I would head to wherever in the country that I need to go and talk to this officer, talk to this first responder, and let them share their story.
And have you done that?
Oh, I did. As a matter of fact, after we did our interview, about 3 months ago, when you interviewed me on another incident, I had a law enforcement officer from Utah that called me about a Bigfoot. And first of all, he wanted to vet me. His wife heard my interview and said, "Oh, please listen to this gal, listen to Marianne on this interview." Well, he was skeptical. He didn't know, was I really a cop or was I just, you know, coming off as I knew what I was talking about, law enforcement. Well, he heard the key words I was saying and he knew I was a cop. So
Hmm.
he trusted me. And he said, "Hey, I would love to share my story because he's never, this happened, oh my gosh, 20, I think it was 2020. He's never talked about it. Again, the stigma. He did not want to be ridiculed by his teammates or anyone else, supervisors, the threat to his career. So he said, "You come up here. I want to meet you face to face. I'll show you the areas and I will tell you the story." Well, next day, got a hotel room up there just north of Arizona border, the Four Corners area. And we had 2 days of going out there, got the story from him. And he thanked me for coming up and listening to him because he had nowhere to go. He just kept it inside, just like Dave kept it inside for 6 years. It stressed him out. Um, I had up in Kayenta, Arizona, which is up on the Navajo reservation. It was a UFO case, and other people have tried to get a hold of the first responders, the EMTs, reference this case. They wouldn't call. They wouldn't call these other people back. It was part of MUFON that was trying to get a hold of these folks in Kayenta. I got a hold of one of the EMT supervisors. She said again, "I'll talk to you in person. I'm not talking to you over the phone." Well,
Hmm.
again, off the Kayenta I went. So I haven't seen anything. I would love to see something. I really would.
Right. I
Maybe
bet.
I'm trying too hard to see something.
It'll happen one day when you're not expecting it,
And
Marianne.
that's it. That's
And
exactly it.
and I would
So,
imagine it's got to be such a huge relief for these men and women that have been holding this in, that probably second guess and doubt themselves for such a long time, to finally have someone they can talk to who isn't
Yes.
yeah.
judging them and who is willing to hear what they have to say.
Absolutely. We, like Marianne said, we're up to over 80 cases right now of original stories, not just from the United States. The one that's furthest away is from Australia, just north of
Wow.
Sydney. It was a police constable that gave us a story and a video from Australia. So you hit the nail on the head. First responders had nowhere to go. You would see this thing, and one of the things we like to talk about is whenever you encounter something that's unknown, it creates a certain amount of trauma. And the reason for it is first responders are geared to go into high stress situations and take care of business. You're supposed to maintain order, or you're supposed to calm the situation down, treat the person medically, or handle the situation, the criminal investigation, and you're supposed to be in charge and you're supposed to have everything all set. When you encounter something that you cannot explain, your brain doesn't quite grasp it, because your world, every one of us has like a script almost in your head of what you believe is real and what you believe isn't real. When you get confronted with those things, it creates a certain amount of emotional trauma. These officers had no place to go. These first responders, they couldn't talk to anybody. I know that, like Marianne said, for 6 years I had nowhere to go. And the sad part is I'm sitting there waiting for the other shoe to drop. When's the next time I'm going to get called upstairs and told, "Hey, you're done," because somebody's running their mouth about this case? Fortunately, it didn't happen. I was successfully able to retire, and now they can't stop me from talking. But the reality is these incidents that these people are facing, we want to do that. We want to give them that safe zone where they can talk and prevent them from having to go through what I went through and what we know first responders are going through right now, where they have nowhere to talk. So they can trust us. They can come forward and tell us their stories. We won't judge them. We won't ridicule them. We'll actually try to get them help. So we have an amazing network of people that are helping us in this process, that we can guide them towards getting help if they want, whether it's a counselor or whether it's a clergy or a priest or something like that. Whatever their belief system is, we want to get them to that point where they feel comfortable accepting and understanding what happened to them so that they can move on. And in the process, we try to get these stories and ask them, "Hey, can we use these stories?" Because these stories are what we tell when we go to these different events, to try and convince other first responders, "Hey, it's okay to talk to us."
Yeah.
And we only release what they are
yeah.
willing to let us release. We have everything across the board. We have officers that have come forward and said, "I want to give you my story, but you can't use my name or my picture or anything." And we respect that. We take the story. If we ever use the story, we just say a police officer from this state or from this area. But we have it all the way up to people who have been retired and they're like, I don't care. You can use my face, you can use my name. I'll give you a video for your presentation that you can play of me talking about the event. So everything in between, we have them.
Wow. So, okay, is there ever a story that someone comes to you with and you think, no, that's too far out there? Or are you just
Mm.
willing to hear anything and everything? Like, do you ever doubt what they're saying? And if so, do you worry that might jeopardize the rest of what you're doing?
Well, fortunately, we haven't had any stories that have been that like that outlandish that
Too
we go,
far
oh,
out.
there's no way that could happen. But the reality is everybody experiences trauma differently. One person might look at something and see something a certain way, and another person may see the exact same situation completely differently. And we know that from just straight up witnesses. You get two people that both watch a shoplifting, and you ask them to describe the guy who stole the whatever it was, the bottle of alcohol. You can get completely different descriptions of the person.
Right.
So what we do is we will take any story. If somebody calls up and they're like, "Hey, I had something happen," we just want to help them heal. So we will listen to their story, whatever it is, and we don't judge. So we won't look at them and go, well, that's crazy. That's ridiculous. Because I wasn't there. What they saw might be true from their perspective and what they saw. And we've had everything from, UFO sightings to spirits to cryptids and all across the board, but we never try and judge anybody. We always want to make sure that they have that opportunity to talk and get it off their chest from their perspective, what they saw, because they were the ones that were there.
Yeah, and
Okay. Go
I
ahead,
just
Marion.
don't I just don't think that a police officer would just come up with a story.
Right.
I saw Casper the Friendly Ghost, ha ha ha, because it's their credibility for them to come forward. They're brave to actually come forward and tell us what they saw, what they encountered. I just don't see a cop that spent over a year of training to become a law enforcement officer to waste all of it by coming up with some outlandish, weird fantasy kind of story.
Yeah. Good
So,
point. Okay,
yeah.
so here's the thing. About half, maybe 60% of the people watching still in their mind think, I don't buy it. Or they have questions. And I know you hear that. I know you hear that.
Mhm.
What do you say to them? What do you say to those people that haven't had these paranormal experiences, think that it's all la la land? I mean, what do you say to them?
The example that I like to give with that is that the world is an amazing place and it has a lot of things that we don't understand. And one of the examples that I give is if you were to pick up a cell phone and go back in time 100 years and you show that cell phone to somebody, they're going to look at you and say it's magic. If you looked around and grabbed a piece of technology from a sewing machine, something like that from back then, jumped back into your time machine, went 100 more years into the past, and showed them both the cell phone and the sewing machine, they will look at both pieces of technology and say, it's magic. We look at it and go, well, this is a cell phone. We understand that. That piece of technology is absolutely archaic. But to them, it's all magic because they don't understand it. So when people come up and say, well, I don't buy it, I don't buy it, we don't need you to buy it. But if you're willing to at least maybe entertain the thoughts that there's more to the world than we understand, that's all we want to do. Because right now, as first responders, we're stuck with the majority of people saying ghosts don't exist, UFOs don't exist, Bigfoot doesn't exist. So these officers are seeing something. And now they're stuck in this catch 22 of, I know I saw something, but I can't tell people that I saw Bigfoot or I can't tell people I saw a ghost or I saw a UFO because society doesn't believe it. We're not naive enough that we think that we're going to all of a sudden make society believe in UFOs or believe in ghosts or believe in cryptids.
Yeah.
But if we can at least push that needle enough to make people say, you know what? I'm willing to admit that there might be things in the world that we don't understand now that if we go 100 years in the future, we're going to look at it like a cell phone and it's just technology that we don't understand or some sort of condition or incident that we don't understand. But eventually in the future, all of a sudden people are going to look at it and go, oh, yeah, it's commonplace. It's not that scary. If we can get people to believe that much, just at least go, Okay, I'll admit that there are things in this world I don't understand. Most of the time, people will respond to that. They look at us and they go, "Hey, I don't understand quantum physics, but I know there's physicists out here that do it." So I'll admit there's stuff in the world that I don't understand, and that's all we're
Yeah.
really looking to get. And on top of that, to then just give these first responders, I hate to say it, but give them a break. They're seeing something because the sad truth of it, part of our presentation is we have a slide that I love that's called the what was it? It's the hazard of being too truthful or something like that, or the cost of transparency, the cost of being too truthful. The reality is every one of these first responders saw something. Does it necessarily mean that it was paranormal? No, but they saw something. And what they're getting judged on and what they're getting criticized on and what they're getting harassed about is still something that they saw. And
Yeah.
that just doesn't seem right that they're getting judged because they're telling the truth and they're getting jammed up for telling the truth.
Yeah.
And again, at the end of the day, we don't judge what they saw. Like we never come back and say, "Oh, we think you saw a ghost," or "Oh, we think you saw a Bigfoot," or "We think you saw a UFO." We just give them the opportunity to talk, and then we might discuss it afterwards. If they ask, "What do you think it is?" I don't know. It could be one of these couple of things, but we want to just create that safe environment. Is basically what we're trying to do.
Talking
Yeah.
about safe environment, Dave, 2 weeks before he retired, we were looking into starting UAPPD, which UAPPD stands for Unidentified Anomalous Phenomenon PD.
And I did ask her to not do anything until I fully retired.
So got it on
Okay.
Facebook. I was
Say that again
asking
one more time, Marianne. Unidentified
Unidentified Anomalous Phenomenon
anomalous.
PD for police department. The
Okay.
reason I know uh, the UFO community is now considering using UAP, and that's unidentified
Ariel.
aerial phenomena. The reason we're using anomalous is because, again, we don't just look at officers don't just see things in the sky, paranormal on land, or there could be something even underground, USOs, which is undersea
Unidentified submerged
submerged
objects.
objects. So that's why we say anomalous. Um, but so I started, about 2 weeks before I retired. I figured, hey, no big deal. So I started getting the ball rolling, got a Facebook post, and got everything set. Well, come to find out, I get a call one day, and the first thing he says is, stop putting stuff on Facebook, stop saying anything to anybody, especially anybody at the police department, because even a 25-year decorated veteran, 2 years left before he retired,
2 weeks left.
he had tinfoil hats at his locker. He had stickers. I honk for grays and all this stuff. He was being harassed 2 weeks before retirement, 25 years. And that's the type of things that cops do. They harass each other, they fun with each other. And even though 2 weeks left, it hurt. It hurt Dave. He did not like it.
Mm.
And I stopped everything until that day he retired.
Wow.
You gotta think of it like law enforcement and first responders. They call it like the band of brothers and sisters, and we're like a family, but we're like the most dysfunctional family on the planet. Like the reality is like I use this example during our talks. Like raise your hand if you have a sibling, and then everybody raises their hand. And like, has that sibling ever picked on you, or you picked on them? And everybody's like, oh yeah, yeah. Has it ever gone too far? Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, now give them a taser, and that's what a police department is. Is what it really boils down to. Is we
Yeah.
all pick on each other, and we just have better technology to do it. But yeah, for the last 2 weeks, I was like, you just need to stop because I'm tired of
Right.
coming to my locker and catching it.
So,
So,
do you guys, you've mentioned a couple times that you do these presentations.
mhm.
Are there conferences? I mean, do you go to conventions and these things are discussed?
Yeah, we've been to different symposiums, like the MUFON symposium. We've been to different conventions around the country. We've
In New
been
York,
New York,
Pine Bush.
Pine Bush in New York. We went to the MUFON symposium, two of them actually, in Dallas and in Las Vegas. We've done a number of them around here in Arizona, up in Mojave Community College, up by Bullhead City. We just did one last night at the Superstition Mountain Museum over here in Apache Junction.
Hmm.
But we do podcasts. I can't even remember all the
We've done
podcasts that
that.
we've
We've
done.
done Coast to Coast with George Knapp. We've even been on the National Police Association broadcast with Betsy Branter Smith, and that is a law enforcement national police syndicate show. And she even had us on for that, and I thought that was really cool because again, they're not laughing at us. You're a bunch of nuts. There is a serious, this is a serious topic. And it was great to have us on that. I thought that was really neat doing
Yeah.
that.
Where can people find you?
Well, we have a website and it's uap-pd.com. We've got to put that little dash in there, or unfortunately they won't get it, but it's uap-pd.com. We also have a Facebook page, just UAP-PD. Well, we're on Twitter, X, whatever the heck it's called. I don't do a lot with that, but I do post some things. But they can definitely contact us through our website. Also, if they want to get on Facebook, check out. And we will be speaking in January at the Phoenix MUFON meeting coming up. So I post when we get scheduled for speaking engagement. I'll post that on our Facebook so people, if they're in the area, they can come find us and hear us.
Or at least come and say hi.
Yeah.
Right. What do you guys say to the officer that might be watching or the officer's spouse that might be watching, thinking you need to reach out to them, but they're a little nervous, they're a little scared, they're a little hesitant? What do you say?
The thing that I say to them is, I understand exactly where you are, and I do because I was the guy who found something and was then called upstairs and told to shut up. Trust me, we're both willing to take a bullet for each other and for any other officer. We're still willing to do it, just a little different. It's a figurative bullet, not a real one.
Yeah.
But we want to help you. That's what it boils down to. We're not going to judge you. We're not going to make fun of you. You can control the conversation. You can give us as much information as you want or hold it in. But we find that most people, a lot of times when we're doing this, they walk in and it's exactly what you would think and what we expect. They're very tense. Their shoulder, you can see it in their shoulders. They're real tense. They're nervous. They don't want to say it. I talked to them in detail about what happened to me and what I saw, and you can start to see them start to relax. And then we start touching on other little cases that we've heard, and they start to relax. By the time they're done, you can literally see how they have relaxed. You can see the shoulders sink. You can see the relief in their face and in their eyes. So what I'd really say to them is just give us a chance, dude. We have your back. We always have. We're here now. Worst case scenario, you talk to us and you decide you don't want to say anything. You don't have to. We're not going to make you. But at least give us the opportunity and give us a chance to kind of hear what you have to say because ultimately we want to help you. That's what we're here for.
And again, I'll be more than happy to travel wherever I need to. Like I was just up in Utah. That just made the officer feel so much more comfortable that one, we are real, we are cops, and we just want to help you out. And I'll be more than happy to go anywhere I need to do a face to face interview with them.
Well, Marianne, I'm glad it worked out for us to meet a few months ago, and I'm
Yes.
glad that you could mention that at this time. I'll be honest, I'd never heard of you. I'd never even thought about first responders that have these type of experiences or how they would even deal with it. And I know since then, as you said, people have reached out to you, and in the comments, people have mentioned it. Again, one more time, where can they find the website if, so for people can get more information and go explore if they're a little hesitant right now? Tell us the website and the name of the Facebook page.
The website is uap-pd.com, and our Facebook is just UAP PD or UAPPD.
Is there anything you guys want to add?
Probably just again, like just to reiterate, we're here to help is basically what it comes down to. We're not trying to judge, we're not trying to criticize, and we're not trying to make it more stressful. We want to actually help you move past what you've encountered, give you just a sounding board. Even if you don't want us to use the story, we won't use the story. Ultimately, If I never get another story, but I get 12 officers that come forward and tell me something and I get to help them start healing, then I did my job. Even if I don't get a story out of it, as long as I'm helping them heal. Because at the end of the day, like I said, I was that guy for 6 years. Where do I talk to about this? Who do I talk to about this? I can't talk to anybody about it. Just keep my mouth shut. And it's
Mm,
not right.
So
good,
also,
good
Nate,
for you.
we
Yeah.
thank you for having us on and letting us share what UAPPD is all about. So we thank you for that.
Oh, of course. Yeah. I mean, like I said, there might be some people, as you said, that might think this is all crazy talk, and they can think that, but there are others that are fully believe and need the help, and it's nice that you guys are providing a resource for them. And yeah, keep us updated if you have any other interesting cases that come up with people that might want to share their stories. And obviously, those of you watching can go check out uap.pd.com. And Marianne,
Patch.
Dave,
Dash
thank
PD.
you. Dash PD, don't forget the
Yeah.
dash. Don't
Yeah.
forget the dash. Thank you both. Marianne and Dave, you can tell they are passionate about what they're doing and they 100% believe it, and they are working to help. And that's their whole goal. And to the doubters, they're okay with that, as you heard. There's doubters and then there's those that believe. And I think what they're doing is admirable and trying to help. Again, the website uap-pd.com. UAP-PD, at least you can go on there and see what they have. They have a historical police cases. They have an about page, lectures and appearances, training what that they do, and you can contact them to schedule a presentation. And they've done a lot of podcasts, conferences, media, TV news stations, stage presentations. They've done a lot, and so thank you both, Marianne and Dave, for speaking with me. I want to thank newspapers.com as well. You can go to newspapers.com and type in paranormal experiences, and you're going to get thousands of results. If you're into this type of thing, newspapers.com is the place to go. They archive all of this, paranormal activities with crimes, paranormal activities that are reported with UFOs, Bigfoot, all type of that. Newspapers.com, they're your place, and they sponsor us here on Courtroom Insider, and we thank them. You can go to get a free 7-day trial and see what you can find. I bet that you'll get lost down all sorts of rabbit holes as you begin to investigate that. Follow me here on Facebook. I'm Nate Eaton Reporter. I'm on Instagram, N Eaton. I'm on X, Nate News Now. Thank you for watching us on YouTube, the East Idaho News YouTube channel. Would love it if you would subscribe, hit that little button, and then you'll know when we are live. And just about a week and a half away from posting our first Secret Santa video for the season. I know many of you have emailed me saying, when's the first one going up? It goes up November 1st, and we'll be posting every day from November 1st until the end of the year. For those unfamiliar, an anonymous person has given our newsroom $1 million to give away. We're going to give away every penny to people in need in our community. If you know someone in East Idaho who has a specific need, please go to our website, eastidahonews.com/secret Santa. Send in their information. Every nomination form is read, they are vetted, and then we go out and surprise them with a car or gift cards for a washer and dryer or furniture, sheetrock, whatever they might need to actually meet their need. That's what Secret Santa tries to bless them with. It's the best time of year. It's so fun, and I'm getting really excited for it. And we'll have new swag too, and preview perhaps some new Courtroom Insider swag. Maybe a true crime shirt for Christmas. That's all I can say now, but I'll announce it soon. I'll announce more soon. Thank you for watching tonight, everybody, and I hope you have a great night. We will be back on Friday night with another Courtroom Insider, talking about some important things in the news. Until then, take care, and we will see you then.